Now, this is something I've spoken about a lot in different talks that I've given at events, but the importance of fasting. If I sound like a broken record to you, it's because it's really important to me. One of the interesting things is that when I was at MITRE Resiliency Con, after speaking on patching, one of the MITRE kind of like chief scientist guys came up to me and said, patching doesn't really slow down the attacker, because there's always another way, And I said, yes, there is always another way. And that's, evident from, state level threat actors. If a government wants to hack you, they're going to get in, period. Like there's always a way. And, other hackers have that same capability too, but may not have the skills. But as far as vulnerabilities go, I believe that if I'm patching all known vulnerabilities, everything I can patch, then at least I'm getting, reducing that, attack surface. I'm reducing the amount of open doors that the attacker can use. If there's hardening that's been taking place in addition to patching, then I'm even further along. What I mean by hardening is, there's certain actions you can take on a machine. They make it more secure. Let's say enforcing SMB signing or requiring a certain version of certificates or authentication, requiring a certain type of encryption, etc., requiring strong encryption mechanisms. Things like that. If you're hardening your machine in addition to patching machines, then you're really limiting the things that an attacker can do on that machine. Yeah, they still may be able to run something, get access on something, but we're really limiting their functionality. And that's really my goal, is to make it not easy for the attacker to get around on my network. The reason I'm always harping on patching is if you take an unpatched system, then you can use almost any tool. You have to have no skill set to get around on that machine, to do privilege escalation, to move laterally to another machine, to pass the hash, etc. Like all these tricks that, a hacker is able to use are wide open when the machine's unpatched, because every vulnerability that has been released for that machine is now available to that attacker to use. So I like to patch very frequently. My concept is that workstations should be patched daily. And this is not just Windows patching, but you should have a patch management system which will patch Chrome, Reader, Java, Firefox, etc. And, patch very frequently. So I patch workstations daily, patch servers at least monthly. And then if there's ever any kind of 0-day stuff, then patch that server immediately, log4j type situations. Now, those workstation patches, we're like, why would I patch my workstation every day? Your likelihood is that your workstation is where the attacker is getting in, if they're not just logging into your VPN. Your workstation is kind of if you execute malware, click a link which does browser hijack, that kind of thing, that's happening on your endpoint. So that's happening on your PC. So if your computer is patched, then the likelihood of something going wrong there is minimized. Now, servers are usually the ultimate target of the attacker, especially your high value servers, your crown jewels. Determining your crown jewels is important, but that's another story. Your servers still need to be patched, and anything that's outward facing server wise, needs to be patched also. Your VPN aggregators, your firewalls. There have been a lot of 0 days on Cisco and a lot of 0 days on, and a lot of vulnerabilities on Cisco and Fortinet. There was a Fortinet 0 day a couple weeks ago. And all 0 days is a vulnerability that doesn't have a patch yet. But when they're announced, it's usually a big deal because it affects everybody, that has that device. So right now, a lot of people have Fortinet. So when there was a Fortinet 0 day a couple weeks ago, we were all scrambling to patch thousands of firewalls. And that's just the nature of it. So, there's been a lot of these vulnerabilities for Cisco's, for Fortinet's, for Pulse Secure VPN has had a lot of vulnerabilities as well. So there's all these edge devices which have a lot of vulnerabilities. And if you're not patching those, then the attacker can use your firewall against you. They can use your firewall to gain access to your systems. They can use, like with Pulse Secure, they can use your Pulse to VPN in. So your security mechanisms could be working against you. So in my mind, it's important to just patch very frequently to make sure that those holes are closed up. Yes, there's always going to be a way for the attacker to get in, phish you, trick you into doing something, manipulate you, get somebody's creds and VPN in at them. There's a lot of different ways that the attacker can get in and succeed at their mission. I don't want to make it easy for them by not patching my systems. So I encourage all of you to use a patch management system, use, Windows updating, but, update all of your endpoints, including network devices. Make a rhythm out of it. So some of you are like, okay, well, I can just, have them update every night, no workstations, whatever. But on a small business, it's easier. On an enterprise, which has 24/7 operations, it's harder. So you have to architect around patching. So what I mean by doing that is designing your systems to be resilient. So you can patch one system while the other one's running. Patch one system while there's a load balancer or whatever, keeping your other one running. Patch systems with the snapshot so that if something goes wrong, you can revert back to snapshot. Having a backup of the system so if there is a problem, you can roll it back very quickly. Building these systems is an important part of running an enterprise network. Like, when you're running a small business, it really doesn't matter if you create some downtime. You just yell down at your team and say, hey, I'm going to reboot the server now and it'll be back up in half an hour. Go take a break. Sure. But when you're running an enterprise, which is making millions of dollars a day, any downtime from that patch could be bad. So you have to build in systems that are made for frequent patching. Your server should be in a cluster. You should have several DCs. Your file server should not depend on these servers. You should have it being a clustered situation, using DFS or whatever. You should be able to reboot a server and patch a server without breaking everything. So there's always exceptions. So like VMware, you want to patch your host because there's a lot of vulnerabilities that have happened from VMware. If you're using shared storage with VMware, we in vCenter installed a VM update utility, and that'll allow you to update all your hosts. So you'll move all your VMs off of the host, update that host, move your VMs back. Update your other host, move your VMs back, that kind of thing. You can update vCenter. You can update, I'm trying to think of other cluster technologies. Exchange clusters are going to be interesting for you to update. Because usually when you're doing a major release update on Exchange, you're updating the schema. So when you're doing a service pack on Exchange, there's usually a schema update. And so it's changing Active Directory. So in that case, you just want to research and make sure that you can, and it may be worth contacting Microsoft and verifying, but making sure that you can upgrade one server in your cluster without affecting your other servers. If I have 14 servers in my Exchange cluster and I go through them one by one and I'm upgrade one to CU 25 and the others are running at CU 24, is CU cumulative update 25 going to break my whole cluster by installing it on one server because of an update that it makes to Active Directory? Those are the kind of things you got to think about. Anyway, thanks everybody. I just want to remind everybody to, and those of you who don't know what patching is, it's installing updates, installing firmware, installing software, and fixes in order to patch a vulnerability, close that vulnerability up. It could be a bug, it could be a security risk, something like that. It could be, a lot of things are security risks, but it could be a way that they hack in. It could be a way that the system could be DDoS. It could be something that spills data or breaches data, whatever, a privacy risk. Pardon me. But a patch is going to remediate one of those problems. All right. Feel free to ask any questions about patching. It's something I've been doing my whole life. So one of the things I know better than anything else. All right. Thanks.